things that we're called to do as Christians is go out and tell the world. Jesus said, go tell the world about him. So that's what we always wanted to do that, but the church provided the opportunity for us to do that. So we were blessed to go to Alaska and fellowship with another church out there and help them out and, pretty much tell the world about Jesus.
While I was in Kenya, God really taught me about humbleness. I think being over here in the United States and having what I have and having what we have, we take advantage of what we got. And when we don't have them, our attitudes change quite a bit. And God showed me through the people, the kids, we went to a couple orphanages and a Christian school called Spring Valley. And those kids have nothing. I mean, they live on dirt floors, and just their attitude and their willingness, their happiness. If I put myself in those shoes, outside of God, there's no way I'd have that same attitude and that same spirit. So it was humbling to see how these kids were, the atmosphere these kids were in, and the poverty-stricken. It was just, it was overwhelming at times.
The most profound way I saw God working on this trip was there was a little girl that was carrying a Bible, and she was about 11 years old, and she was a T-kid. And T-kids, they stopped educating T-kids after the 5th grade. Once they could add, subtract, and multiply, then they're going into the T-fields. That's what they're destined to do. And this little girl had this beautiful, beautiful light in her, and she held on to this Bible. It was an English Bible. It was an ESV, and she just gripped onto it, and I looked at her and I said, God is going to use you in a mighty way. And she said, no, he's not. Understanding that she's a T-kid, and that's all her purpose is going to be, is to work in the T-fields. And it just felt so sad, because I wanted some way to be able to convey to her what I see. She had this light in her that was so beautiful. And a little bit later, she came over to me and she said, you're right. He is. And I thought, if I can walk away from this trip, and this little girl believes that God is going to use her, and to have faith in that, and that somebody from somewhere else around the world told her that, to affirm that in her, the whole trip was worth it. And I pray for her all the time.
Si estás interesado en ir a un viaje misionero, pero tienes dudas, tienes miedos, no sabes si estás capacitado o no, a mí me pasó y yo sentía que no era como la mejor persona para ir a un viaje misionero, pero Dios trabaja contigo desde el proceso, desde que tú decides decir, sí voy. Dios trabaja contigo a cada aspecto de tu vida, emocionalmente y espiritualmente, para llevarte a donde Él quiere que vayas. Entonces, si estás planeando ir a un viaje misionero, no tengas miedo, no sientas que no estás capacitado, porque Dios capacita a sus hijos para cumplir para lo que han sido llamados.
One thing I would say to anybody that's ever been on a mission trip, especially if you're scared, because they are scary, because you're going into the unknown, is God moves in mighty ways on mission trips. I mean, I have seen God in a subway, on a bus, in somebody's house, that we were just doing surveys in a neighborhood. God moves so big, and He just wants to use us when we're in these environments. And so if you're ever contemplated wanting to go and you've got that fear, lean into it. Just lean into it, because God's going to bless it. God's going to bless your obedience by going into it. It'll be something you'll take with you for the rest of your life.